Hey folks, so it's a philosophical Wednesday, and today we'll talk about the hypergraph, the metagraphs, and what's make the engineers the good engineers and all those things. And all of my life I was believing that the curiosity is the key driving of the good engineering and the good leader, because we need to stay hungry and we need to stay curious to make the great things. And it's true, I still deeply believe in it. But right now, I more and more see that we have the new generation of the people that have just lack of imagination. So the imagination is yet another crucial part for the engineer, the architect, the knowledge graph expert, and so on. Because if you couldn't imagine it, you couldn't implement it. And it's lead me to yet another thing that I observe more and more that it's super hard, even with the directed graphs, to build this habit in a people's heads that they could just imagine the structure in their head. And when directed graph, it's easy to paint on the whiteboard, and it's quite straightforward. So then it's much harder with something more complex like the hypergraphs. To visualize the hypergraph, you could use these Venn-like diagrams, but you're not always able to visualize it, and it's hard. And with metagraphs, it's even more harder for sure. And it's the place where we need to build some kind of imagination in our head and create some visual forms and then help us to understand these complex concepts better. And the same, the imagination for the semantic space times. And then, this concept came from the theoretical physics. So the theoretical physics, why I like them, that they do a lot of these mental experiments. And these mental experiments matter because then they build some conceptual model that helps them to visualize and understand it better. And then we jump to the topic of, for example, my favorite one for the last months, it's semantic space-time. When you have the graph, and it's even directed graph, we not go into this hyperspace thing, but we have the relations that could represent the multi-dimensional similarity, and our brain gets broken when we're talking about the visualizing of multi-dimensional and uh, complex tensors. We could not just imagine something that have hundreds of parameters, so how this space could look like. And that's why that's bring me to another topic that we quite often use the graphs to visualize the things. We visualize the directed graphs, and it simplified the reason and help people to understand it when they small, but when they huge, and when they have a big amount of the relations, we have the challenges that it's now our brain doesn't see it anymore, and how to use our imagination, how to use the simplification tools that could analyze the graph and build the useful visualization of it. It's a big question, but we need to develop this skill in ourselves that we could just run the mental experiments, build the concept models, visualize something in our head, because if we haven't believed that something is possible in our head, we're not able to implement it in real life. And the other thing that we need to understand that we could not just use the graph for the visualization as is, because quite often, especially for extremely huge graphs, they will just create the cluttered plot that our brain will not able to grab the idea, but quite often the visual thinking actually helps to understand the ontologies, graphs, metagraphs, and complex structures better. I don't have the good answer how we could visualize the multi-spaces, but maybe we could project these multi-dimensional spaces to the space-time graphs that turn the dimension just to different kind of the relations. So maybe then we have almost flat structure, but then this graph have quite interesting characteristics. So it's hard to say. So let me know what kind of the visualization and visual thinking tools and imaginary experiments you use in your daily work. I will be quite interesting to hear more from you on this point. And it was the Philosophical Wednesday. And see you next Wednesday. And if you're keen to learn more, just follow me on my YouTube channel, probably you're already watching, and all other social medias that I'm quite active on. See you next time. Cheers.